What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. Today, on this beautiful sunny day in May, hooray, we are continuing from the last episode, talking about the Elder Scrolls. Ooh. Yes. Nerding out again. Woohoo. I had to listen to the end of the last part to remember where I left off last time. But sounded like, because it was a few weeks ago. You know how I do. This audio looks like it's booming. These levels might be a little too high. I don't know. Maybe I need to be a little quiet. I'm using the blue mic today, just because I felt like it. I don't know. Still editing. This is my third podcast I've recorded without finishing finishing one of them. I got 3 now after this that I'll have to edit. And then, I'll release some boom, boom, boom. But, yeah, I don't know. Been a busy couple of months, I guess. And I've been struggling editing the one I made with my friend and with Mr. Scotty, which will be out before this one. I'll still release that one first, and then I'll do the Elder Scrolls ones, and whatever. They'll all come out eventually. There's no rush. What's the rush? Chill out. Chill. Yeah, we chilling today. Pretty busy day today. Had to take my daughter to go get her first cavity filled. Oof. It was tough. It was rough for a father to watch, but she handled it real well. The gas that she had, the nitrous or whatever, didn't knock her out. I don't know. I think it was supposed to, but she definitely never fell asleep during it. She winced a little bit, but otherwise she handled it like a champ. And she said it didn't hurt. She felt no pain afterwards. She had a sugar-free lollipop after from the dentist. Which is crazy that they even do that, but I guess if they're sugar-free, and it's not so bad, but, she kept asking me, I want a sucker after, and I was like, this is the dentist. No, you can't have a sucker. This is why we're here. Too many suckers. Yeah, well. At least it wasn't 7 like I had. But yeah, so did that. Got a new tire for my car. Busy day. I had to take the day off today to get some things done. Sometimes you got to do that. I love work. I love my work. But sometimes you got to get stuff done. Bye. Sometimes you got to make a podcast about the Elder Scrolls. Somebody's got to do it. Because nobody else has before. Shout out to Fudge Muppet and UESP. The unofficial Elder Scrolls Pages podcast. They're great. Got the coffee. I'm drinking the Mandalorian from Joffrey's Coffee. I just did a review of this too, which won't be out till, I don't know, maybe around the same time as this. I got coffee reviews at the Wahoo too. I got like 3 or 4 coffee videos to edit, man. I got the content. I got it recorded. Recording's become the easiest part. It's editing that I've really have not hath thine desire to do. But it'll all get done eventually. There's time. Chill out. There's time. We got plenty of time, folks. Or I could die tomorrow. None of it really matters. That's life. That's the beauty of life. Anyways, this coffee's subpar. I did a review of it. You'll have to wait for my score. You'll have to wait to hear how I really feel about it when the video comes out. Who cares? Oh, we're talking Elder Scrolls, yo. So, I was just playing some Elder Scrolls Online earlier this morning before I took my daughter to her dentist appointment. Oh, boy, I love it. I still love it so much. I love escaping to the world of Tamriel. And the last part, we were... I had something else. One other thing I had on my mind. Might as well get it out of the way. We're casting. I've noticed an uptick of HIV advertising. Not advertising to how to get HIV, but how to prevent it or help it or, I don't know, cure it? Do we have the cure yet? Is there a cure for HIV? I didn't know it was such like a big deal still. I don't know. I guess I'm just ignorant, but I know it's similar to AIDS and was going around a lot during the AIDS epidemic, right, in the 80s and / early 90s. And I always knew it's a thing. You learn about it in school still. I remember learning about it in like health class or whatever, what have you. And, that along with STDs seems to be all similar because they all get taught around the same time. I don't know. I don't remember anything from school. HIV is like it's just a disease that you get, like it's in your blood, right? And I know you can get it if you're, banging some hair on with a dirty needle that somebody else has used, right? That's how it's transferred. I don't even know what does it stand for? It's something intravenous virus, right? We got the good internet right here. Oh, look, Ben Crump's in the news. Wow. Look at the news today. Bud Light buying back unsold beer as company scrambles after backlash. I love 2023. And it's Barbara May Cameron's 69th birthday. I don't know who that is, but they have a rainbow flag, so I'm sure they're a good person. HIV. Let's just Google HIV. Human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, so an AIDS is autoimmune deficiency disease, right? If not treated, it can lead to AIDS. So, thoughts and prayers to anybody struggling with HIV. No, I don't know. I saw a bus today. Driving my daughter to the dentist appointment, a bus that had a huge picture on the side of it, like buses do, advertising things. And instead of advertising like the newest, latest CBS crime drama, it was saying something about like, if you have HIV, there's help, get help, call this number or something. And I feel like there's been more advertising about it on TV, commercials and stuff. More, I don't know. Just feel like I've been hearing about HIV lately. Whatever happened to monkeypox? That was fun. That was real fun. I don't know. I don't know anything. Just a thought I had. What's going on with HIV? I don't know. I've been hearing about AIDS again too, dude. What's going on? I don't know. That's not this episode, though. That's not what this is about. This is about fantasy RPG. So yeah, we left off talking about Oblivion. I'm pretty sure I summed up Oblivion. Great game, love it. And after Oblivion, so I think I was talking about how I was playing, kind of going back and forth with Oblivion and Morrowind, and how it gave me an appreciation for Morrowind. But Oblivion is special in its own way and has a special place in my heart. And it didn't take too long, though. Bethesda was pretty good with coming out with games every couple of years at least. From Arena, it was like 94 or something, 95. And I think Daggerfall was like 97. Then you had Battlespire and Redguard. I don't know, maybe it was like 99 or something. And then Morrowind in 2002. And then Oblivion just 3 years later in 2005. But of course, I got Morrowind in 2003 for the first time for PC, and then I got it again in 2006, a year after Oblivion had already been out. And then I didn't get Oblivion until 2008, 2 years. So yeah, about 2 years in between playing it. And then already around like 2010 probably, I heard, especially with more of a, internet was obviously just popping in 2010. I mean, everything like I remember, going to YouTube for the first times around the beginning of YouTube, like 2005, 2006, and it was specifically to look up, like, trailers for movies. I would see a trailer, like what led me to YouTube, not to get into my history of YouTube, that could be an episode, was I had just seen a trailer on TV for Jackass number 2. And I had just gotten into Jackass, and I was like blown away that they were making a second movie and so excited. And I was like, I want to watch that again. And my older sister has suggested that I go to YouTube to try to find it. And I did. And so I, used it for kind of looking at movie trailers and, movies coming out. And then I, started using it for video games, video gameplay. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, but anyways, but I didn't really, then there was there's IGN, I guess, .com, but I didn't use really any other sites for gaming news, except I had a subscription to Game Informer, and that is actually how I first found out about Oblivion, was in a Game Informer magazine. And then Skyrim, I don't know how I heard about it first. It might have been the internet, and the internet, but I don't remember which website. I don't think it was YouTube, and I don't think it was IGN or anything, but I can't remember exactly how I learned about it coming out or learned about the news of it. But I do remember the speculation around it, surrounding it, about where is it going to be next time, because at this point, even with just the 2 Elder Scrolls games I played, and then eventually I think around this time I did play Daggerfall and Arena, you learn about, I don't know, the world that Elder Scrolls is in, and you take notice of the different games, how they take place in different parts of the world of Tamriel. Arena which was amazing to find out after playing Daggerfall and Morrowind and Oblivion, that Arena, a part of the game was to go to every piece of land, everywhere, where all the races are. You go to Elsweyr, where the Khajiit are from. You go to Morrowind, where the Dark Elves are. You go to Skyrim, where the Nords are. So you actually already had gone to those places if you played the very first Elder Scrolls game, just not in as much detail as giving it its own game to focus on that land. The first one was Daggerfall, but that actually technically takes place in 2 different, I don't know what you would call lands, in what is called the area of High Rock. It takes place in Glenumbra and Stormhaven. And the Alakir Desert might be in it too, which would be Hammerfall. It's like a little bit of a High Rock with where the Bretons are from, and a little bit of Hammerfall, where the Redguards are from. And Daggerfall's huge game, huge map. But again, it's not in great detail though. And then of course you got Elder Scrolls 3, which takes place in Vardenfell, in the land of Morrowind, where the Dark Elves are from. And that kind of started that trend. Oblivion, although it's not named the Elder Scrolls for Cyrodiil, takes place in the very middle of the map, a very big land called Cyrodiil, where the Imperials are from. So then when Elder Scrolls V was announced, there's all this speculation about where is it going to take place next, because obviously they're going to keep this trend of choosing a part of the map to focus on for the mainline series. And I swear I remember it being leaked or rumored, or a lot of people were talking about it being the Elder Scrolls V Somerset, which would have been the Somerset Isle, where the High Elves are from. And I even remember seeing little pictures and artwork people were making of the Elder Scrolls V Somerset, and it was more kind of like lush and kind of, I don't know, showed like a kind of alien-looking place. I had like high elvish things, which I didn't really know much about back then because I only experienced Morrowind and Cyrodiil. But as I learned more about the lore and the game and the world, I became fascinated with the idea of where it would take place next, and how interesting it was to change environments. Like, it could go to Black Marsh. That would be cool. That's where the Argonians are. It's all marshy and swampy and stuff. Like, that would be sweet. And then I also remember it being hypothesized that maybe it was going to be Valenwood. And I thought that would have been super cool, because that's where the Wood Elves are from. And it's very woodsy and actually very jungle-y, according to the Elder Scrolls Online. A lot of jungles, a lot of trees and stuff. They're Wood Elves. It's in the name. But alas, I do remember in a Game Informer, it was officially announced, and they had the first screenshots of it. It's the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Dun dun Nova King, Fusarada, Sorry. Dude, this is the game that changed the whole landscape, bro. mean, not really. It's just another Elder Scrolls game to me. But you probably heard of Skyrim. You probably heard of a little game called Skyrim. Put these back up here. Yes. The land of the Nords. The Nords, the northern folk, the snowy land. And I remember the screenshots in Game Informer, and it showed, like, you know, some snowy stuff, but it also showed some very, like, autumn-looking kind of woodlands, too. That would be probably more near, like, the southern eastern area of Skyrim, or Riften. The city of Riften, if you've ever played Skyrim. Of course you've played Skyrim. Everybody's played Skyrim.
But there's one they fear. In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
So I was stoked to see some screenshots of it. And this is where I found out how big the Elder Scrolls had become. Because, of course, Morrowind seemed like just my brother's game. A game that my brother played. I had never heard anybody else talk about it before. You know, it's something that I shared with one of my friends who had never heard of it before. So I kind of introduced him to it. But I never saw it around or never heard anybody talk about it. And then, of course, when Oblivion came out, then that's when I saw the popularity of Elder Scrolls kind of rise. As I saw it in Game Informer, I saw a review of it from a G4 TV show called X-Play with Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb. If you remember that, those member berries. And they give it like a 4 out of 5 and just praised, you know, the open world and how, you know, you could do all these things. You could drop items next to guards and stuff. And you could walk on people's tables and kick off their plates off their tables and stuff. And it's so interactive. And, you know, which was mind-blowing. And, of course, when I had, had that insulting conversation in 8th grade with a kid who made fun of me for still playing Morrowind and said it was lame. And how much better Oblivion was. So, I started to hear more people talk about the Elder Scrolls. But then when Skyrim was announced, dude, oh man, it was just everywhere, all over the internet. There was a contest, I remember, that came out at if somebody would name their child Dovahkiin, which is like the Dragonborn, your character in the game, the kind of a similar plot line to Morrowind, where you're, I guess, reincarnated, an incarnate thing, something, a chosen one, one of those deals. The Dragonborn, called Dovahkiin, if you named your child Dovahkiin, you would get free Elder Scrolls games for life. And somebody actually named their child Dovahkiin. Let's check in on that. And I wonder if they have received Elder Scrolls games for life. Elder Scrolls games for life. I can't talk. And this was back in like 2010 or 2011. Here's a Reddit post. On Skyrim's launch day, 2 parents, named their newborn children Dovahkiin. It says that if someone gave birth to a child on launch day and they named that child Dovahkiin, the moniker of Skyrim's protagonist, meaning Dragonborn, the publisher would reward them with a Steam key that will grant you, and presumably Dovahkiin him/herself, every ZeniMax/Bethesda game, past, present, and future for life. So that means like Fallout games too. A couple known as Eric and Megan Kellermeyer rose to the challenge, revealing little baby Dovahkiin to the world on November 11th with a picture posted on their blog to prove it. The internet naturally went bananas, and Bethesda publicly congratulated the Kellermeyers before getting in touch with them to sort out that reward. It's been nearly 7 years since then, and while there still hasn't been any word of another Elder Scrolls game, that's the problem. You're promised, Elder Scrolls games for life, but then there wouldn't be another Elder Scrolls game besides Elder Scrolls Online to come out in over 10 years now. Dovahkiin has done some growing up, and I checked back in with the Kellermeyers to see how things have changed in that time. There's an article about it. Is Bethesda living up to its promise of lifetime supply for your games to the family? Megan can confirm that the publisher has indeed kept its word after all these years. If you saw my husband's Steam account and its trailing list, you'd see all the cool Bethesda games we received a code for and he got for free. As my husband is the gamer, he's definitely put it to good use. That's cool. Cool. So, yeah, that was a thing that happened. And so there's a lot of buzz around it, and it was coming out on a very special date, November 11th, 2011, 11/11/11. Ooh, very cool. I was very excited, to say the least, but everybody was. It's the first game that I ever pre-ordered and waited in line at GameStop for. That's how special it was. And it was cool to wait in line, except for the fact that I was a little hungover from like amphetamines and stuff, but it was still a cool experience. I got it, and then I remember I didn't play it when I first got home because I was waiting to take it over to my then girlfriend's house, now wife, to her house, and hook it up there for some reason. I don't know why, and play it. And so I played it for the first time at her house the next day, and was just amazed, dude. Oh, it was amazing just to, read about all the things that they were going to add and change. Of course, the addition of dragons was such a big deal. Oblivion, of course, added the horses, which was amazing. But Skyrim added the houses. I think there might have been a couple houses you could get in Oblivion, though, too. Can't remember if I talked about that on the last part. But it took away the classes. You didn't just pick a class. If you wanted to be archer class or knight or sorcerer or whatever like that, that's preset your major and minor skills. There were no major and minor skills. Oh, it was totally amazing. You just did whatever skills you wanted to do and leveled up that way and kind of make your own custom class that way. And some people, I think, have complained about that, but I saw it as awesome. I love that idea that I'm not pinned to just whatever class that I pick. If I start off as an archer kind of character, I can later on switch to a magic character, as I actually enjoy fusing those two things anyways. A magic archer, as I call it, because I learned of that idea from Dragon's Dogma, which is an actual class in the game, a magic archer. Now I make everything magic archers. It's the best. It's the most OP thing ever. I liked that idea. I liked it that there were skills that I could totally ignore if I wanted to. If I don't want to do two-handed weapons, I don't have to do two-handed weapons. I can just level up my one-handed weapon and my bow, and I could still level up, and I could level up my destruction magic and restoration magic and my illusion magic. And oh man, it was awesome. The fighting felt really cool. It felt a little more heavy, a little more realistic. I remember Todd Howard talking about how kind of unfair it was in Oblivion, or a little cheap that you could just run backwards. Like if you ran forwards, you had your speed running forwards, and if you ran backwards, it was the exact same speed. So you could literally just run backwards and just slice at enemies in Oblivion and never get hit really. So he made it so when you run backwards, you're slower. Yeah, it was so innovative. I'll be a little sarcastic, but these are the things that I was really amazed by and impressed by, honestly, to see these kind of changes. And so it made the fighting and combat feel a little more realistic to me. I know people still have their problems with it. They still had it to where you could shoot fire out of your left hand and have a sword in your right hand, but it's not as sleek as Oblivion. But I understand why, because they let you favorite certain items to a right hand or a left hand, and so you can kind of pause and go to this quick little menu in the HUD, I think they call it, or the hub or whatever. It's a little interface thing, and you could select, okay, I'm going to have my shield on my left hand now and my spell on my right hand now. And so it's nice for customization. It does kind of, pause the game literally to do it, but you get real fast at it, and it's still made for some very fun combat. The intro, dude. Oh, the intro to Skyrim was so cinematic for its time. Being on the back of that cart as a prisoner, which became a theme in Elder Scrolls as well, always starting out as a prisoner, and you're about to get your head chopped off, and right when you're about to get the old axe, you look up and you see the dragon come flying in and starts breathing fire down, and it's just, what an entrance, man. Of course, we all knew, leading up that there was going to be dragons, and I even remember reading about the dragon language, that they were trying to make a whole language, before the game came out, and I mean, you could just tell that it was going to be big, dude. And big it was. I became obsessed with it immediately. Just everything, you gotta read tomes to learn spells, that's kind of different. I like that. Seeing how different the armor looks now that we're in Skyrim. There's certain armor, Nord armor, and even like the iron armor and stuff, and steel armor has some of it has a little more of a Viking look with horns on the helmet that became really synonymous with Skyrim. It's almost like the mascot of Skyrim is the dude with the iron helm and the horned iron helmet. So you got the Nordic vibes there, and it's just cool, I felt like Skyrim went back almost a little bit to a Morrowind feel. I feel like that, and I just feel this way about Bethesda, man, that they do really, listen to the community and listen to the speculations that people have and the predictions and the wish lists that people have that they want for the next game. They really do take from that, man, and you could tell the Morrowind fans were just screaming at this point. Morrowind had become, I don't know, at least to me, pretty popular. Like, it kind of resurfaced around, and I don't know if that's just, I don't know, like I said, just me in my head, because I went back to Morrowind after Oblivion. But I started to see a lot more love for Morrowind later down the road when Skyrim came out, and I feel like they listened to it. They made it a little bit more unique. It's not so like medieval England looking like Cyrodiil was, that some people may complain about, which I still think it's beautiful in its own way. But like I said, playing Oblivion did make me appreciate the uniqueness of being in a land like Morrowind with all the mushroom trees and glowing mushrooms and stuff and things that made it look a little bit different, a little more alien. And I feel like Skyrim, kind of did that too in certain aspects. Very snowy, of course, which isn't super exciting. Although I never get sick of it, though. But there are kind of breaks or rests from it in certain parts of Skyrim, like I mentioned, like the southeastern part around Riften. It's got a real nice autumn look to it with the orange leaves and stuff, and a little more brown, and I don't know. To me, it just felt a little bit more unique. Not like super unique, but it's 200 years after Oblivion, so it's technically in the future, which is interesting because there's nothing really to make you think that, which is good, because I don't want to see technology necessarily in like an Elder Scrolls game. That kind of stuff really takes me out of fantasy. I know some people like that mixture of it, like the technology and sci-fi mixed with the fantasy elements, but I'm not a big fan of it. That's why I don't like Final Fantasy that much. Except for, the new one does look cool, because the new Final Fantasy 16 looks very fantasy medieval. Might have to get that one a poke. But no, I don't know. Something about the runes, the caves, the dungeons in Skyrim, a little bit more tattered and a little bit more, I don't know, ancient looking, though. There's a very ancient look to a lot of things in Skyrim. And, of course, as it's 200 years later, there are callbacks to things have become ancient from the other games, like Dwemer Ruins. I think Dwemer Ruins are in Skyrim, aren't they? I swear they are. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. Just like they were in Morrowind, which the Dwemer, a little lore here, was like an ancient race that has never been depicted in the Elder Scrolls games, only talked about. But so, Dwemer ruins in Morrowind were already very ancient. So 200 years later, in Skyrim, they're even more ancient. And, and when you stumble upon things like that, especially like places like covered just in snow and stuff, and it really feels like you're in a wasteland sometimes. I like that. Almost like a little bit of a Fallout feel. The villages and stuff are real like, I don't know. Everything's got like a almost peasantry poor vibe to it in a way. You only got like the big cities are like Whiterun, which has Dragon Reach, which is very, I love it. I think it's beautiful, very beautifully designed. I love going, if you have like a zoom out picture of Dragon Reach, it's just cool to see the big giant stairs that kind of go up and wind around to this castle that looks higher up and separated from like the rest of the city. Very cool. That separation between the peasants and the king, or the Jarl, as they call it in the game. And then there's Solitude, which is a lot more classic, big kind of city look, and it looks very cool. It's like on the side of like a cliff almost. Lots of great imagery in this game, man. I remember just like even looking at, I remember coming from the beginning like cave after the little tutorial area, and you get out of the cave into big wide open Skyrim, and it's kind of, you're on like an elevated, kind of plane in a way to where you're seeing just the trees drop off from the distance and everything in the distance, dude. And it's just, it's a magical feeling, man. Oblivion, you had the moment where you come out of the sewers, and that's kind of like your big moment where, oh, I'm in the big open world now. But, and Morrowind was a lot more closed off as you just get off of a boat in Sydney, and, that's got its own vibe and feel to it, though. You're just in this very tiny little village. A more classical starting point for like an RPG game, before it sets you out into the wild, into the open world. But Skyrim really nailed it with just like that. Oh boy, I'm in, bro. I'm in. Like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for this adventure to start. And then you get to choose your direction, and you kind of, naturally stumble upon Whiterun. And I remember, kind of descending down a little bit and kind of getting through these trees and then coming out and then just seeing these big giant windmills and the walled city of Whiterun and the castle of Dragon Reach all from a distance. And I don't know, it always reminded me of that scene from A New Hope, from Star Wars, where Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker are looking across the desert at Tatooine, and Obi-Wan says his famous line, "Mos Eisley, you'll never find a more wretched town full of scum and villainy." No. You'll never find a more wretched hide full of scum and villainy. I don't know. I got those vibes when I saw Whiterun. Whiterun, you'll never find a more wretched hide full of sweet rolls and I don't know. Nords. Riften would be more appropriate. That's the hide full of scum and villainy. Am I right? But yeah, dude, it was a cool moment, dude. Lots of cool moments like that in Skyrim. First coming to Solitude, it was just such a neat look to it as you go up this giant, kind of like mountain as you climb up further and further and further, and then all of a sudden you're at the gates of this big city, Solitude, and Markarth City, Falkreath. They all have really cool, unique looks to it, each city, and they're not all huge. Oblivion, I think, had bigger cities. More like Morrowind, on the scale of Morrowind, I would say. But all kind of unique in their own way. The world felt real big. That was the other thing, speculating how big it would be. And I think they landed between Oblivion and Morrowind. I think it was, or maybe it was just as big as Morrowind. And Oblivion was the smaller one. I can't remember. It's bigger than Oblivion, though, I'm pretty sure. And also, I forgot to mention, too, each game, at least starting with Morrowind that I know of, comes with a world map. And I still have each world map to this day. I'm thinking about putting them on the walls or something. But, let me get my Morrowind map. This is my Morrowind map. This thing has seen some days, boy. It has been taped up so many times. There it is. My cats used to tear this thing apart, but I used to legit use it a lot because back in the day with Morrowind, you didn't have quest markers. Okay, you got a quest, and what the directions that the person gave you was what you had to go based off of, and it would be written in your quest journal. It'd be like, go to the Grazelands and walk east towards Indorainen, and there will be a fork in the road. Take the second left. No, not that left, your other left. And then you will see a little farm, and there's the rat you have to kill, or whatever, you know. And so I would always be busted out my map, being like, okay, where's that? There's the Zenyeb camp, okay, and you know. And so I used it a lot. It got so much use. Oblivion, not so much, as it is in pristine condition because I never used it. Also, this Morrowind map is not from my Xbox version that I got in 2006. It's actually from the PC version I got in 2003. Because the Xbox one that I got it used, and it didn't come with the map. But thankfully, I had kept mine from the PC version that I bought. This might got a little bit of use. I think it did get ripped. But I didn't have to use it nearly as much because of the quest markers. But here's Oblivion. There's Cyrodiil. Yep. Yeah, it's ripped there. Third Era, 433. So cool. It's even got the Shivering Isles on there. You can see like it says Hammerfall up there, and Skyrim up there, and Morrowind up there, and Black Marsh there. So you could, you know, that's how I really learned about the other areas of the game. Because I don't think Morrowind showed any of that. Then Skyrim's map, which has like literally never been used, but it is very cool. It's got a really cool feel to it. It's got a real cool texture. This might be like the best looking map. Provenance of Skyrim, 4th Era, 182. Yeah, the maps are super dope, dude. And again, shows like Hammerfalls on the outside and High Rock to the left and Morrowind to the right. Yep. Again, never had to use it, though. Never had to use it because all the quest markers. But, it's there. It's there, though, if you do need it. Fold this up again. Pay attention to the time here. Mike. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're Gucci. So yeah. Yeah, dude. So the world was, you know, decent size. It was big. It was a lot to explore, and this is the funnest part about these games, man. Is just getting into the open world and taking on all those quests. And along the way, you find some cave or some ruins to go through, and it's just awesome. Oblivion was really cool with the Alien ruins. I don't know if I mentioned that last episode or not, but that had its cool ancient vibes to it as well. Morrowind with the Dwemer ruins and the Daedric ruins were really awesome, and the ancestral tombs. And Skyrim had a lot of caves. I think some Dwemer ruins, and then what else really in Skyrim? Draugr everywhere. Draugr here, Draugr there, Draugr everywhere. Draugr are these, like, I don't know, old ancient soldiers, and they're in like every dungeon pretty much. And what I liked about Skyrim, though, is how they did their dungeons. It's very like beginning and end, because I don't remember, like, because Morrowind, you just go through the whole thing and you just hope you find everything. You look in every nook and cranny, and once you feel like you've been in every room, like, you're out of there. Maybe you'll find a cool treasure somewhere in it, but it's pretty random. Then Oblivion, I can't remember. I feel like it's the same way, but I think Oblivion added the thing where you get to an end of a cave or dungeon, and instead of having to backtrack your way out to the beginning, there's usually a shortcut at the end or another way out, I think. And I don't know if there was a way to know that your dungeon or cave was cleared in Oblivion. I can't remember. That might have all started in Skyrim, but I know it was very, they really focused on it in Skyrim. There was a beginning, and once you got to the end, you knew you were at the end because there was usually a boss fight. Like you'd come across a Death Lord Draugr, a really powerful Draugr, and sometimes there would be a new word to learn. The Thum, I think that's the dragon language. Your shouts. You would learn a new word of a shout that would add to the power of your shouts. And then there would be a boss level chest with a bunch of gold in it or new weapons and stuff. And they would make a little sound after you cleared the dungeon, and it would even say cleared on your world map. So you knew that you cleared it. So it was very informative. I don't know. It's a good feeling though. It's a nice feeling to know you clear a dungeon, and there's a nice reward at the end of it. I like that. And shouts, yeah, you have dragon shouts. You can go Fusroda, and everything pushes away from you like the Force. You got a fire shout, I think an ice breath shout. You have a shout that makes, I think, enemies attack each other. The shouts were cool. It was cool, to make you feel like you're the Dragonborn. I dig it. I like that aspect of it. I don't think I ever got all of the shouts ever in Skyrim, but I played the heck out of Skyrim, and everybody was talking about it. The memes, the arrow to the knee memes, the sweet roll memes. It was very cool to see Elder Scrolls blow up in that way and see the community all over the internet and all the YouTube videos, and it was awesome to see, man. It was awesome to see my favorite video game series achieve such greatness, and Skyrim is one of the best-selling games of all time, and so they just re-released it 3 more times. I mean, you got of course, Elder Scrolls always comes out with expansions, so they came out with the Dragonborn expansion, which was just a big nod to all the Morrowind fans, as you get to go to Solstheim, which is the island you go to in the Morrowind expansion pack of Blood Moon with the werewolves. So there's a lot of Morrowind stuff there because you learn that the volcano of Vardenfell erupted and destroyed Vardenfell, so the Dark Elves had to escape, and so a lot of them went to Solstheim and Skyrim. And so you get to go there, and then there's Dawnguard, which I never did, which has to do with vampires and stuff. I hear it's pretty cool, but so then, of course, they released a Legendary Edition with all that, but they really honed in on the housing thing, too, and made Hearthfire, which is a whole housing thing. So houses became a big thing in Skyrim, which is, what every Elder Scrolls fan wanted, I think. I love the housing stuff, a place to keep your treasures and rewards, and you can customize it and design it, and I never really got into that either, man, because I played Skyrim for a good 2 or 3 years, real hardcore. Dragon's Dogma came out a few months later, and I didn't know I was going to love that game as much as I did. Well, okay, I did. As soon as I saw that game announced, I was like, dude, this is dope too. Oh man, another RPG to rival Skyrim. I was like, this looks like the game for me. And I got hooked on Dragon's Dogma for a while, and it did keep me from Skyrim for several months, I think. But I still played it pretty hardcore, and, until 2013, 2014. And then, just life, man, growing up in my early 20s, working at a call center, and then at a hotel, and a Target, and I started getting into the movie making stuff, and I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I was in college, and blah, 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 blah. All this stupid stuff. And then my Xbox 360 started having trouble reading discs, and that pretty much, I got to Dragonborn. I got to level 50-something in Skyrim, and I started to phase out of it. Never did beat that DLC. And I would love to get a new 360 just to go back to it. And go back to Oblivion, really. Play my Archer character that I ended up making that I never finished. I think I got him like level 20 something. A Wood Elf Archer character. Did I talk about my main characters? Surely I did, right? Morrowind had my Hunter Chameleon, which I still play to this day, like 17 years later. Right? 2006 to now. Like 17 years. Which still works. Barely. Then my Imperial Crusader was my main Oblivion character that I got to level like 40, I think. Because leveling up was a lot slower in Oblivion. You got to like max level pretty quick around like 40. But Skyrim upped it a little bit more. And like I said, I got to like level 56. And I probably could have got higher than that. Like probably would have ended up like 65 or 70. I was level 71 in Morrowind. And my Skyrim character was a Breton magic archer. Basically what I made him as a custom like class. You know, I just did my archery and my magic and my sword. It was awesome, dude. It was awesome. It was awesome to see the armor styles in the game, how elven armor looks and how glass armor looks, how Daedric and Ebony look, you know. One of my favorite parts about playing an Elder Scrolls game. Doing the Daedric quests, of course, with the Daedric artifacts again, you know. You get to see your Gold Brand, your Dawn Guard, your... apparently they did add Umbra later on, but I wasn't in the original vanilla game of Skyrim, I don't think. So I never got Umbra. That'd be cool to go back and do. Man, just, yeah, dude, super nostalgic for Skyrim now. Very nostalgic, man. So many good memories playing it over at my girlfriend's house. Played a lot of Skyrim in front of her, as a lot of boys did. We ignored our women for many months when Skyrim came out. No, dude, it was good times, man. Good times, and you know, and I got the PS4 in 2015, and that pretty much was the end of it. But then something amazing was announced. Just a few years after Skyrim, about 2013, 2014, that they were going to make an online Elder Scrolls game. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mommy like. So I remember, like, even with Morrowind, like, talking to my brother and saying things like, dude, wouldn't it be so cool if we could link up Xboxes and play each other in Morrowind, dude? That'd be so cool. Go on adventures and stuff together. And there's a character in the Elder Scrolls game, I don't know if I talked about this yet either, Mike the Liar. He's a Khajiit character that you find randomly in Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim. And when you talk to him, he just talks about random things, like very meta things, like, why would you want horses in the game? You know, why can't you just walk everywhere? You know, making hints at, like, you know, like that would be said in Morrowind because people wanted horses in Morrowind and they didn't put them in there. But then they put them in there for Oblivion, of course. You know, you might talk to Mike the Liar in Oblivion. He talks about, like, why do people want to play with friends? You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, hinting at, like, why do you want to play online? But, of course, this is, you know, kind of trolling in a way because, you know, he's talking about things that, you know, maybe they never will add, but also you kind of wonder, like, the things he talks about maybe are going to be added later on or to the next game. And so, you know, they heard, obviously, people talking about wanting to play with other players, and so they made an Elder Scrolls Online game. And I remember when it was first announced, it was like, oh, dude, Skyrim, but online? But, of course, it can't be exactly like Skyrim. You know, MMORPGs have to be a specific way. I don't know a lot about game development, but I imagine when you're making a gigantic online world for millions of players to participate in all at once, you sacrifice some things, you sacrifice little details, you know, maybe graphics a little bit. So it's not exactly like Skyrim, but, you know, it's more in the realm of like World of Warcraft and other MMORPGs, but mixed with elements of Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls in general. So I was super stoked for it, pre-ordered it. I tried to play the beta, but it ran like garbage on my computer. And when it released, I feel like I keep like talking like this. I'm like, I like spit in my mouth. When it released, it it was, like a lot of games, it had a very horrible launch. It was very buggy, laggy, glitchy, and I thought it was just my computer, which I think it was. I think my computer just wasn't, my computer was only like 2 years old, though, at that time, so I don't know. Maybe it was just the game itself. But I remember it was such a bad launch that they gave everybody an extra free month to play because it was a membership starting out. And I tried, so for like 2 months to play it, and it just felt unplayable to me. I started off with an Argonian character. Now, Elder Scrolls Online went the prequel route and went like 2,000 years before Skyrim, which was really cool to see everything before Morrowind and before Oblivion and before Daggerfall, before Arena, before everything. With lots of good lore being introduced in that way and telling stories that have maybe been told in the other games through like lore books and stuff. So yeah, I was supposed to be making like an ancestor to Chameleon, my Morrowind character. I called him Guys Sarah because I was like doing a play on Chameleon, Chameleon. They kind of disguise guys themselves. So guys, and then Sarah, which is like a word that a lot of like Argonians say for some reason. Especially in Morrowind, you just walk up to an Argonian, they're like, "Hello, Sarah, Musara." It's like, my name's not Sarah, okay? It's Chameleon. Get it right. I don't know, but and I got to like level 8 or something like that, and yeah, didn't continue it. It wasn't until 2 years later, in 2016, that they finally released for PS4 and Xbox One. And I saw it one day for like $14 at Game Exchange. I was like, whoa, dude, Elder Scrolls Online is so cheap now. It must have really bombed, And I looked into it, and I was like, oh, they don't require a membership anymore. It's free to play. $14. I can play Elder Scrolls Online forever. And it started off with like, oh, if you pick this race, you can only go to these lands until you beat the game, and then you get access to the whole world map. So you can go everywhere, Ellsworth and, Somerset Isle, Skyrim, Morrowind, High Rock. And they eliminated that at this time. They got rid of that. So it's like they changed so much in a couple of years, I think, to, get more people to play. So starting off, you could pick any race and go to any land you wanted. And so I was like, dude, this sounds like it fixed a lot of things. And so I jumped in 2016, and I've been playing it ever since for the last 7 years. They fixed a lot of things. It's a lot less buggy. It doesn't crash, and it's a decent looking game. Graphics are pretty good. They did a real good job of melding together that Elder Scrolls experience with an MMO experience. I play like completely alone, with the exception of joining random groups for dungeons. I like a little PvE. I like to fight dragons with people, but I don't do the PvP. RuneScape ruined PvP for me because I just suck. I suck at everything that has to do with fighting other players. So I'd never really got involved with the PvP, but I've managed to have an amazing Elder Scrolls experience playing by myself. Like I said, the graphics are good. The world looks really nice, really pretty, really beautiful. It's awesome to see the different environments, to go to Skyrim, and you get that Skyrim feel. And, one of the first DLCs that Elder Scrolls Online released was a Morrowind DLC where you get to go back to Vardenfell, but 2,000 years before Morrowind. And it's awesome to go to the city of Balmora and the city of Vivec, and you actually get to, you get to talk to Vivec, the character, again. And the plot has to do with actually helping him in the Morrowind DLC. And you get the Morrowind vibes, and you get to go to Black Marsh with the Argonians, and Somerset Isle, the High Elves, and Valenwood with the Wood Elves, which has like the most. I don't know why they like focused. It might as well be Elder Scrolls Online Valenwood with other pieces of the map, because I feel like right from the get go when I started playing, they already had like 4 giant areas of Valenwood that you can play. It's like, I don't know, Valenwood seems like it had the most area covered, but it's awesome, dude. It's awesome to see the Wood Elves and go to High Rock, and you can go to the city of Daggerfall, and it's just every Elder Scrolls wet dream. Every Elder Scrolls fan's wet dream, in a way. I absolutely love it, and it's not perfect. Everything has its problems, but I feel like I said, the combat feels good, especially for an MMO, because MMOs are really good now. It's not like back in the day where we had, before World of Warcraft really had, like, I don't know, RuneScape was like one of the best, just a point and click, you just click on an enemy and your character just, I mean, there's probably tons I've never heard of, but I was always working with like a PC that couldn't play the best of the best, but then Guild Wars and World of Warcraft came out, and that made MMOs like this big 3D adventure, and EverQuest was probably like the first one really to do that, but I've never played that. But so, at this point, MMOs have gotten really good, so, the combat is real nice. I don't know, it feels like an Elder Scrolls game mixed with an MMORPG. You got all of your fun MMO skills you can do, which, that's the other thing too. Skyrim added, like, you could tell they were going that route towards like MMO stuff. Like Skyrim started letting you blacksmith, make your own armor and stuff, and to me that reminds me of like RuneScape or MMORPGs, like a blacksmithing skill, leather working. So it has all that in Elder Scrolls Online as well, and enchanting and alchemy, potion making. Fishing, which is got to be a staple in every RPG for me as well. I love fishing in games. It's not a skill like RuneScape, but still, it's fun. It's fun to post up. You find a nice little lake or something in Elder Scrolls Online, and the sun's going down, and it still does for me what those past Elder Scrolls games do. It takes me to that world, man. It takes me on that adventure, on that quest. Gets me excited when I stumble upon a cave or a dungeon, and collect gold and find a new item, and those moments where I'm just posted up and I just spin the game camera around my character and I see the sun setting and I have the beautiful music playing and I just feel so at peace. Every Elder Scrolls game since Morrowind has done that for me. I always just love walking around in the game. I'm walking down a path and I'm just listening to Jeremy Soul's beautiful music, who did not do the soundtrack for Elder Scrolls Online, but still the music in Elder Scrolls Online is really good. But Jeremy Soul did do the music for Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, and each game has an amazing soundtrack that really, to me, fits each game. And I just have so many good memories from each game of just walking down a trail and spinning that camera around my character and listening to that music, and I just like, man, I'm on another adventure, Wish this was real life. Wish I could maybe randomly attacked by a bear and a saber-toothed tiger and a necromancer all at once and just fight them and just shoot my arrows and, die and restart and try again. Wish life was like a video game. Kind of is, except you only get one life. Unless you believe in reincarnation. Then it really is a video game. But yeah, that's, and Elder Scrolls Online continues that for me. I have many amazing moments and memories playing that game, and I'm like I made a Wood Elf Nightblade, which I've slowly turned into a magic archer over time, like I'd like to do. And like I said, it's more MMORPG. You do pick your class, but that does determine what skills you have. And I don't know if I mentioned also, Skyrim introduced the perk system, which was grabbing it from Fallout 3, I think. Because Morrowind was just, you got your major skills, your minor skills, your long blade, your spear, which they took away after Morrowind. And they need to bring back the spears and halberds. Your marksmen, even things like mercantile. Daggerfall has some really weird ones, like climbing was a skill in Daggerfall. There was acrobats, which was fun. And, in Morrowind, if you got 100 acrobat, you could jump really high and really far. You had those skills, then you had your attributes that you would, after time you level up, you get to up an attribute like your endurance or your strength, typical RPG stuff, and it carried that on to Oblivion. And then Skyrim, of course, took away the major and minor skills, but it just has all the skills lumped together. But then they each skill you can have perks with it. And so if you level up, you get skill points to spend, and this goes for Elder Scrolls Online as well. And you buy like little skills, little perks for like your long blade, like you do 20% more damage with long blade weapons or something like that. And Elder Scrolls Online has a real cool thing called a champion like bar and champion skills, and so you get points rewarded to you after you turn level 50 in the game, and you start over and start at champion level 1. And you get champion points, and those champion points unlock those perks, and you get skill points that unlock skills. So it's there's a lot, man. They really did a good job on giving you a lot to work with. And so, like I said, even after you turn level 50 in Elder Scrolls Online, that's when it really opens up with the champion stuff. And so it's still fun to customize my character with all those things and buy new skills and then morph those skills and make them more powerful. And there's just, RPG stuff. It's a lot of fun RPG stuff. I really like it a lot. One thing, though, Oblivion and Skyrim and then continuing on to Elder Scrolls Online kind of went towards was, it... And I hope Elder Scrolls 6 goes back to more of this. I'll wrap this up here. Finding treasure, the feeling of reward, the less leveled stuff. In Morrowind, like I said, it was cool. You could be level 1 and you could stumble upon an insanely hard enemy, and you're like, "Oh, this guy's murdering me. Maybe I'll come back when I'm stronger." Or you find like a Daedric weapon early on, and it's so exciting. Or maybe you go through the whole game. And it takes you forever to find your first Daedric weapon, but it's exciting when you do it. When you do find something like that, like an amazing artifact or a powerful weapon or powerful armor. But then Oblivion, leveled everything. You're level 10, you're fighting a level 10 troll. You're level 10, you're finding mithril and steel armor. Oh, you're level 15 now? Well, now you're only finding elven and dwarven armor. Now you're level 25, so everything that you find is ebony and Daedric armor. And Skyrim did that as well, and Elder Scrolls Online does that as well. So, Elder Scrolls Online, it's like there's gotta be millions of pieces of weapon and armor because it really thins it out a lot. It makes a lot of things real generic in a way. Like, you got your certain materials, which are all pretty new to the game. Like, you got your iron and your steel, you got your dwarven, you got your orcish, or orichalcum, I think it's called. But then, like Daedric, there's no Daedric armor in Elder Scrolls Online, but you can make things in the style of Daedric. But you could have a light armor made out of rubido, or like spider silk. Like spider silk's like the best like light armor material, but you can make it in the Daedric style. So it lends more to customization and cosmetics than it does with like finding like, I don't know. Then it has to do with like the armor rating. But that is how it is. Like when you're weak, you're finding only like iron stuff and like, whatever. It's like almost so unimportant in Elder Scrolls Online that it doesn't interest me as much, and you level up so fast, and you stop finding all the weakest armor so fast. So I can't even remember what it is. Like maybe cotton is the weakest light armor. I'm not sure. But then you got leather, and then eventually you get to like, and then you stop seeing all those things, and you level up. You're only seeing steel stuff or orc stuff, or and then once you get to a certain point of like a champion level 160, you only ever find the top tier armor material, which is like rubido leather. Rubidite is your heavy armor. Rubidio. It's so weird. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's like your medium armor, and then your ancient spider silk, I think, is your top light armor. And then that's all you find for the rest of the game, like after level 160. But it adds, there's a little bit more to it. There's green items and purple items and legendary items, which, that has the highest armor rating. You might find a piece of spider silk gloves in a style of dark elf. That's a purple item, and that increases your stamina by 1700. But then you might find a spider silk gloves in a high elf style, so it looks a little bit cooler, but it's green, so it's less armor rating, but it increases your magicka 1700, and so it keeps things interesting that way with customization. And I've just it's overwhelming for me to even think about all the armor and weapons that I've just found and left or sold or destroyed or or have worn over the last 7 years at Elder Scrolls Online that I can't even remember. But there are some unique items that are like quest items and rewards that are pretty cool, weapons and armors that you get along the way. That still keep it fresh. It still feels fresh to me. It really does. And I haven't even completed half the game yet still. There's still so many more quests to do and places to go to. I've barely done anything in Skyrim in Elder Scrolls Online. I've barely done anything I haven't done anything in Hammerfall with like Red Guards and stuff, I haven't finished all of Valenwood yet. So, there's still so much to do and so much to explore, and I'm still having a good time with it. I just finally finished the Elsewhere DLC because you had Morrowind, the first DLC, and then Somerset came out, and that was amazing. I love Somerset in the Elder Scrolls Online. It gave me a whole new appreciation for the High Elves and their land. It's so beautiful looking. I love Somerset. It's like it's my second favorite area in the game. Morrowind is still my favorite because it's a little more unique. I really like the Dark Elves and of course the nostalgia of Morrowind for me. But Somerset's right there with it, boy. I love Somerset. And then they came out with the Skyrim DLC, Greymoor, which I have not played. Then they came out with the Elsewhere DLC, which I skipped Greymoor, and I did Elsewhere finally, which is really fun. They introduced dragons again. It's a beautiful place where the Khajiits are from. And then they released Blackwood, which takes you back to Cyrodiil, bordering on Black Marsh and Cyrodiil in the swampy areas. And then they came out with High Rock, which is, unlocks a new area in High Rock. And they're going back to Morrowind with their Necrom DLC coming out. So there's so much, dude. There's so much. And they keep opening up new parts of the map. And it's keeping things exciting and fresh. But that's been the last Elder Scrolls game to come out since Skyrim in 2011. They re-released Skyrim again for the Legendary Edition or whatever, or I think that's what it was called. And then they had Skyrim VR for the PS4, and then they had Skyrim for the Switch come out. So they just kind of keep re-releasing it, and it's been over 10 years since we had if you count Elder Scrolls Online, it's been 9 years since we had an Elder Scrolls game. So yeah, you hope they're really going to put a lot into Elder Scrolls 6. And, I think the speculation right now, a lot of people are thinking Hammerfall or High Rock, which would be fine with me. That'd be awesome, especially High Rock. I would love to go to Daggerfall in a more detailed, high graphic, level, high level graphics and stuff. But I hope they make it unique and special like they have all the Elder Scrolls games. And I'm gonna keep playing them every time they come out, man. It's my favorite video game franchise of all time. And it's awesome to see how popular it's gotten. Tons of people are awaiting Elder Scrolls 6. But yeah, I'll go back and play the old ones, though. I hope to get a 360 again so I can play Skyrim and Oblivion. Which I do play some Skyrim on VR, though. I have gotten back into it through VR and made a high elf character, more of a paladin-esque character. So I need to get more into that. I just hate hooking up the VR stuff. I'm still a classic boy. I like the controller on the couch, man. That's what I like. But yeah, dude. Yeah. That's my Elder Scrolls journey. I love it. I love it a lot. I love the music. I love everything about it. I love the world. I love the lore. And it's cool that I could take some time to bore everybody by talking about it. Marxism. That's the next episode. That's how we do. We talk about video games one week, and then the next month or two, we're talking about communism and Marxism. I got a few ideas for episodes that I want to get to, so hopefully I get to them. Not a lot, but there's a few things I want to do this year. I really want to make this year a productive year. I feel like I slacked last year and was real down last year, but I'm feeling a little better this year, and I just want to save money. Me and my wife want to get a house. Just need to upgrade in life, man. Gonna be 30 in like 3 months. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. It's time to upgrade. It's time to level up. just like in an Elder Scrolls game. This has been Deep Thoughts, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And remember to think freely, think often, and remember, I love you. Okay? Take care of yourself, all right? Take care of yourself. You're looking like a schlub. Do something about it. Drink water. Have a good day, guys.